Hello, everybody, and welcome to another touching episode of Cup of Joe, where you can learn everything you need to learn about your angels, its history, everything. Also, little side note stuff you can learn too. Useless information like um, what's to become of Arnold and Dudley behind the bike shop in that one Different Strokes episode. If you haven't seen it yet, very compelling stuff. If you haven't seen it, go to what is it called? Me TV. Forget the channel name there, where you can catch all the old 80s and 70s shows and look for that episode. It's a fantastic episode. You may learn something, just so you know. Anyway, you're listening to Halos in the Infield Network podcast system. Yes, brought to you in part by Noble Ale Works, just outside Angel Stadium in the Honda Center, where you could get drink specials just by mentioning HITI, Halos in the Infield. Isn't that something? This is also brought to you by 714 Tickets. 714 Tickets. 714 Tickets is the place to go if you want to get 10% off of any ticket purchase. Just mention HITI, Halos in the Infield, and get that 10% off. Save you some money off of those $10 tickets at the Angel Stadium if you're even bothering giving your money to that place. Or if you're going to go and protest and wear a bag, remember, if you're going to wear a paper bag on your head at the stadium and want to show everyone and let everyone know how upset you are, and let Artie and the news and everyone pick you up and say, hey, look at that fan. These fans are devastated. They're upset. They want something better. They want a new owner. Make sure your paper bag is worn while in the seats only. They do not allow you to walk around the hallways of the stadium. I don't know why. They say safety issues. Maybe they're afraid of you tripping over something or bumping into somebody. Maybe you can't see clearly out of your bag. I don't know what the situation is, but you are allowed to wear it at your seat. I would fold my paper bag and stick it in my pants or in my jacket as I walked into the stadium. And then you pull it out when you're sitting down nice and comfortable. Stick that sucker on your head when you feel the time is right. If not, there are T-shirts you can order from us as well on Halos in the Infield, supporting our fight on having Artie sell the team, and you can catch those on our site as well and on our page as well, and order yourself a shirt. And if you don't want to do that, and you don't want to give Artie any of your money, which I totally understand, don't go to the games at all. But there's a lot of good concerts coming up. I think in October we got Iron Maiden at the forum, almost at the Great Western Forum. That shows you how old I am. Or the Fabulous Forum to go even further back. But there's some shows coming up. Get 10% off of those ticket prices. 1 second, I have an itch on my nose. I'm not picking my nose. I just want you guys to know that I don't do that. My nose is clear. I may have some bats in the cave, but my nose is clear. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Oh, man, we got a game tonight at 6:30 against the Houston A-Holes. I think we're going to have Framber Valdez pitching against us. He has got a win-loss record 4-3, and he's pitching an ERA of 3.95 against our wonderful Griffin Canning, who's got a win-loss 2-5 with an ERA of 4.69. Oh, boy. Houston right now is 28-35. Not too good. Angels, worse, of course, 24-38. Let's see what happens. That's today at 6:30. Saturday is going to be at 7. Sunday is going to be at 1. So if you want to catch this team, we're coming off of a sweep, ladies and gentlemen. We pulled out the broom. Can we play the Padres all year? That would be fantastic. Anyway, this episode is brought to you in part by all the conspiracy theorists that listen to this show or listen to these podcasts, to this network. Curses. I mean, that's the title of the video, right? I personally don't believe in curses. I don't believe in them. I don't think they exist. I think you can cast some bad juju on people, but you're getting to a whole other realm of demonology there that I don't want to get into. But the information I have listed for you, which is not, I'm not going to say it's perfect, but it's quite a bit of information. It's going to be more of a timeline that I have listed. I'm going to read down the line. Now, the Angels organization has been described as cursed. most organizations that aren't successful they're always talking about curses. There's the curse of the Bambino. There's the I believe it's the goat curse. I is that am I right on that? In Chicago, I forget. Anyway, there's all these for the Cubs. There's all these curses that are listed, and then they're also lifted. Um, it doesn't seem to be the case for us Angels fans, though. If there is a curse, I'll tell you what, it's us being cursed, being fans of this team. That's the hard. We're the cursed ones. But anyway, Angel Stadium's been the focal point of this. A lot of people have said that the stadium was built on an ancient burial ground, Indian burial ground, or an ancient guardian burial ground. that's that's had some magical properties that has just given us bad luck, throughout all of our years. But the great Tim Mead back in the 90s, went and researched the claim and found that there's no evidence indicating that there's a burial ground here at all in the beautiful city of Anaheim. So that explains that, but it doesn't explain the actual curse of our Angels. Some say Artie Moreno is the curse. It's the curse of Artie Moreno. Once he sells a team, it'll be lifted. Some people say it's the curse of the Angels changing their name to Anaheim, even though we won a World Series in 2002. Some of them say it's when the Angels changed their name to California. That's when everything started in the 70s and so into the late 60s and the 70s. Some say it was the move to Anaheim Stadium in Anaheim from LA. Now, what if I was to tell you that this happened and started all the way in the very beginning of our franchise? This team, if we're going to call this a curse and series of bad luck or whatever you like to want to call it, has started from the very beginning. And it's crazy. As a matter of fact, there's an article I pulled up and I checked out. It says since 1960, that's when Gene Autry bought the team. Um, it was a new franchise. 32 major league players have died while on a major league roster or within a year of their last game. The Angels are linked with 7 of those deaths. 5 of those deaths were by 1978. More than 20% of the total of the entire major leagues. The only other team to have lost even 3 players in that time frame is the Cleveland Indians with 3, and 2 of those died in the same boating accident in Florida back in 1993. The Angels have lost 3 players in midseason and another late in spring training. It's crazy when I start listing. I'm going to start the list now, and I'm just going to I jot down information that I picked up that I researched on, and I'm just going to read it and go down the line, starting from the year of 1961. And I would love to see you guys in the comments write down what you think of this. I know a lot of us don't believe in curses. I know a lot of us aren't going to blame the lack of success with this franchise now or in the past with a curse. I get that. Some of you may think, "Oh yeah, this team's cursed as hell." Anyway, I would love to hear what you think, and I would love to read your comments, answer back, and reply to you guys, and really talk about this and create a conversation because it's very interesting. This is our team. This is who we root for. This is who we pull for. I've pulled for this team since birth. Like I've said in the past, there are baby pictures of old Halo Joe with an Angels cap on back in 1976. I was a beautiful baby. I had a really large head. Thought I'd throw that in there in case some of you weren't sure. But anyway, let's scroll down here and let's go all the way back to the 1961 season. The earliest named victim of the curse is Johnny James. He was acquired by the Angels on May 8th, 1961. He tried to break a sharp curve while throwing a pitch at Wrigley Field and hurt a bone in his arm crack. Incredibly, his arm broke and it ended his career from throwing a pitch. This was back in 1961. Now, keep in mind, all these that I'm going to be reading on here are not just deaths, but deaths are included, but losing streaks. A lot of them take note on how these season-ending injuries or anything like that, how it makes you think, what if
What if these players didn't get hurt? Will we have had a more successful season? You're gonna start playing with these ideas in your head and start wondering, like, whoa, what is going on here? Back in 1962, second year of our Los Angeles Angels in LA, outfielder Ken Hunt broke his collarbone while swinging a bat in the on deck circle late spring training in 1962. So he was just on the on deck circle swinging his back, boom, snapped the collarbone. Nice. 1962, same year, during batting practice in August of 1962, veteran pitcher Art Fowler was hit by a line drive while in left field, leaving a 4-inch cut above his eye, and he required 8 stitches. He gradually lost most of the sight in that left eye, which is very very sad. Then we're gonna move on to the same year, 1962. A lot happened in that year. Ken McBride missed much of the last 6 weeks of the 1962 season after discovering that he had cracked a rib from a bout with pleurisy, which I think is a disease where there's, I think it's like, like a material buildup or something around your lungs. It gives you a hard time. McBride was later in an automobile accident and suffered whiplash injuries, causing him to lose effectiveness in 1964. So a lot went on with that poor guy. And got another itch here. Sorry, guys, I have fleas. I don't know why I'm so itchy today. In 1964, the Angels signed two of the most highly sought after players in the country, Rick Reithart and Tom Egan. Well, outfielder Rick Reithart suffered kidney failure and had one kidney removed in 1966, while catcher Tom Egan lost some of his sight in his left eye when Earl Wilson, pitcher of the Tigers, beamed him in the head in 1969. So we got two quality players there, both cut short from some I don't want to say, I guess you could say, rare circumstances. In 1965, the next year, Fritz Brickwell, who was the Angels' starting shortstop on I'm sorry, was the starting shortstop on opening day in 1961. So he's the starting shortstop opening day of their first year of existence, and he died of cancer at 30 in 1965. He was our first guy that started off, and in 65, only 4 years later, he passed away from cancer. And also in 1965, the first Angels player to die while on the active roster was rookie Dick Wentz, or Wantz, or Wentz. uh, see, he'd pitched one inning for the Angels in April 1965 when he went on the disabled list, suffering from headaches. First diagnosed as a virus, a brain tumor was then discovered. Wentz did not survive the operation to remove the tumor, and he died on May 13th of 1965. Very sad. In 1970, Minnie Rojas was a top reliever for the club in 1966 to 1968 with a record of 23 and 16, 43 saves, and a 3.0 ERA. He was reported that Rojas was paralyzed in a car crash in 1970. Two children died in the crash as well, which was very sad. In 1972, infielder Chico Ruiz died in a car accident on February 1972 after playing for the Angels in 1971. Um, he's credited as an Angels curse victim because he signed with the Kansas City Royals prior to his death. So he signed with the Royals right before he died, but he is credited as a as a victim of the curse. So yeah, that's sad as well. Let's go. We're moving on to 1973. I still haven't been born yet, and all this is happening. Shortstop Bobby Valentine suffered, we all know this one, a compound fracture of his right leg when he crashed into the outfield wall while fielding in for Ken Berry in center field back in 1973, May of 1973. So that was a bad one. 1974 reliever Bruce Henbeckner never got to play in the regular season game in the majors, but had apparently made the opening day roster when he was killed in a two-car crash while returning to the Angel Spring Training Hotel in Palm Springs back in March 10th of 1974. Really, really sad. 1974, Rudy May threw 4 shutouts in his first 6 starts one night. And while he was walking in the dark and carrying a tray, I guess at his house, he tripped over his pet dog, ending his season with a broken wrist and dislocated elbow. How's that for luck? That sounds like us, right? So that was 1974. Okay, 1977. Oh, Halo Joe was a year old. I was already walking around with some pickup lines, had some money in my pocket. Attempts have been made to counter the curse. So this has already been happening now. It's 1977. People are starting to notice, hey, this team we've had since 61, a lot of stuff going on. What's happening here? So they're starting to now understand, like, hey, look, something's kind of weird. So during the team slump in 1977, they were doing really bad that year. Dick Miller, he was a reporter for the Los Angeles Herald Examiner, called someone named Luis Hubner, head of the magic circle of 4,000 witches nationwide, the largest coven in America. Now she gave magic circle medals to owner Gene Autry, general manager uh, Dalton. I forget what his first name is. General manager Dalton and the players just before they played the Yankees on August 3rd. Now that's kind of strange. I don't know if you've heard too much. I don't know if you heard of a 4,000 witch coven that was called in to give magic circle medals to all the players and the staff. So the Angels, after receiving these medals, miraculously won 6 straight games. Maybe she should come back. And before Hubner, Louise Hubner, which is the woman who was the head of the Magic Circle, had a change of heart, saying some of the players were very insulting. They probably didn't believe what she was talking about. I wasn't too thrilled being involved with them. I felt I should have used the energy of the Magic Circle because the Angels were not sincere and honest. They didn't participate or give anything back. I'm not Mary Poppins. I don't have to help anybody, she said. So I just pulled out and put the curse back on us. So she comes in with her Magic Circle medals, head of 4,000 witches, which is amazing to me. I didn't realize there were so many witches. This is what happens when they stopped burning witches at the stake. You get 4,000 of them nationwide. And she helps us out with these magic medals. We win 6 in a row. She doesn't like the way we're acting with her. So she takes them back and puts the curse back on. Thanks a lot, Luis. We appreciate all your help there. Same year, 1977, shortstop Mike Miley receives $80,000 as the Angels' top pick in the 1974 amateur draft, passing up his senior year as quarterback at LSU in the process. He died in a single-car automobile accident on January 6, 1977. Very sad. Same year, right after the medals were discredited, I guess you would say. And guess what? Same year again, 1977, newly signed infielder Bobby Grich. We all know him. He's my favorite Angels player. Suffered a herniated disc in his back while lifting an air conditioner at his apartment on February 14th, 1977, causing him to miss most of spring training and eventually leading to season-ending back surgery in July. That's depressing. What a great player to lose him like that. Now we move on to 1978. Who's with me? Everybody still around? Who was around in 1978? Outfielder Lyman Bostock signed with the Angels in 1977 as a free agent after hitting .336 for the Minnesota Twins. And on August 23rd, 1978, as he rode in a car in Chicago, he was shot and killed by an estranged husband of one of the passengers in the car. So that's a weird, odd one that just came out of nowhere. 1979, pitcher Jim Barr broke his hand punching a toilet at a party celebrating the Angels. I usually do that when I'm celebrating. I punch toilets. It was their first division championship back in 1979, causing him to miss the playoffs. Nice job, Jim Barr. Is that the curse, or is Jim Barr just an idiot for doing that? 1980, Ina Autry, wife of owner Gene Autry, met her unexpected death in 1980. Very sad. 1982, naturally, the curse was extended to include the postseason, of course. So when the Angels became the first team to blow a 2-0 lead in a best-of-5 series in 1982, They lost the last 3 games to the Milwaukee Brewers. Nice record there for our Angels. I'm loving that. 1985, John Candelaria's son died. 1985. He died in a swimming pool accident, which left him in a coma for 11 months. That's very, very sad. A lot of these you're going to see are linked to players, family members, just any link at all that has to do with the Angels. You see this weird thing going on, and it's almost year after year. 1986, first baseman Wally Joyner missed the end of the 1986 championship series with a staph infection in his leg. What could have happened that year if he didn't get hurt? Oh, what a great player. I really missed Wally Joyner. It was really fun watching him play. Same year, 1986, in Game 5, we all know this one. The ALCS against the Boston Red Sox. The Angels were 1 pitch away from their first World Series appearance, up 3-1 with a 5-4 lead with 2 outs in the ninth when Dave Henderson hit a 2-2 pitch to put the Sox on top with a 2-run shot. The Sox went on to win that game and the next 2 and losing the World Series. Because don't forget, they were under a curse back then as well. Oh boy. 1989 reliever Donnie Moore from that series. He was released by the Angels and the Royals and was out of baseball when he committed suicide after shooting his wife. Who actually survived. He's almost always mentioned, and it's partially because of the suicide. They say the suicide was traced back, I guess, from depression back to the Dave Henderson home run that we just read about right now. Very, very sad. Very, very just a bad situation. 1992, pitcher Matt Kyaw or Kaw. I forget how you pronounce his name. I got to look that up. Keough. Kyaw. Q. It's probably some weird pronunciation. I got to look that up. He was sitting on the bench at Scottsdale's Memorial Stadium when a foul ball off the bat of the first batter of the game hit him in the head. The injury ended his attempted comeback and nearly his life. Whew, hey. Same year, 1992, coach Deron Johnson died of lung cancer at the age of 53. Very sad. 1992, on May 21st, 1992, the Angels team bus crashed. I don't know if anyone remembers this, in New Jersey during a road trip. Several members of the team were injured. Infielder Bobby Rose was the only player placed on the disabled list with a sprained ankle. First baseman Alvin Davis bruised a kidney. The first baseman Lee Stevens had some soreness in his arm and ribs. Among those hospitalized were Davis, athletic trainer Ned Burgert with a minor concussion and bruised kidney, and traveling secretary Frank Sims with bruised ribs. Bullpen coach Rick Turner required 26 stitches for a cut below his left armpit. Manager Buck Rogers was also hospitalized with elbow, knee, and rib injuries, causing him to miss more than half the season. That was a crazy time. Oh boy, moving on to 1994. Halo Joe was graduating high school in 1994. How about that? Let's see here. I'm trying to scroll and I can't find there you are. Okay. Got another itch on my nose here, people. I don't know what's going on with me right now. I think it's a soap I'm using. I got that dry skin building up and it's really itchy. It's bothering me. Sorry. I'm sure you don't care about that. Infielder Rex Hudler, we all know the Wonder Dog, was 16 for 30 and with 3 homers in his last 9 games in May of 1994, raising his average to 406 when he was injured during batting practice. Manager Marcel Lachman and Hud were gathering balls out in the outfield when they saw one lone ball in between them. They looked at one another and took off running for it. Hudler was there first, and when he reached to pick the ball up, Lachman jokingly lunged at it with his fungo bat. The bat bounced off the turf and hit Hudler right in the ankle. Hudler then dove to avoid the bat, tumbling onto the turf and landing on his right shoulder, returning after 17 days on the disabled list. He was 17 days on the disabled list. He went 11 for 60 after that, the rest of the season, ending at 298. That's the weird stuff that happens with us. I mean, that little messing around, they're playing, and that happens, and then season, gets altered because of it. Shortstop Gary DiSarcina, who remembers that boy? I love that guy. Tore a ligament in his thumb while sliding into second base on August 3rd of 1995, causing him to miss most of the rest of the season and the Angels' historic collapse. Who remembers that? In 1995, the Angels have also suffered numerous late collapses, but the most devastating was 1995 when the Angels had to win their last 5 games to force a 1-game playoff, which they lost after holding an 11-game lead for the division as late as August 9 and a 10. Oh yeah, okay. So as late as August 9th, right? That's how late in the season we were. 11-game lead and 10-game lead for the wild card on August 3rd. They had this lead. They just blew it that final month. This unbelievable streak of losses and bad plays. It was so weird, and they had to play and fight for that playoff, for that 1-game playoff against the Seattle Mariners, and blew it against Randy Johnson. I'll never forget that last strikeout with Tim Salmon. Absolutely devastating. 1996, Rod Carew's 18-year-old daughter lost her battle with leukemia. We all remember that. In 1997, pitcher Chuck Finley opened the 1997 season on the disabled list after a flung bat broke an orbital bone during spring training. Later that season, Finley went on the DL again when he slipped and injured his wrist while backing up home plate. Wow. 1999, we're jumping forward. Gary DiSarcina missed half of the 1999 season after breaking his arm when a fungal bat again. Maybe the fungal bat's the curse. Swung by coach George Hendrick accidentally hit him. When he returned, he hit 229 in 81 games, his lowest average since becoming a regular player, and then played 12 games in 2000 before having rotator cuff surgery, which ultimately ended his career at the age of 32. Very sad. 1999, same year, newly signed free agent first baseman Mo Vaughn, who remembers this, slipped and fell trying to catch a pop fly in the visitors' dugout in the first regular season game with the Angels in 1999, wrenching his ankle. While he only missed the minimum of 15 days, Vaughn was never the player Angels originally expected, though some of that may have been park effect. The park effect. More conventional injuries to Jim Edmonds and Tim Salmon followed shortly after that. That was a bad year. I remember that year. Oh gosh, there was so much promise when Mo Vaughn was coming to the Angels, and I was really looking forward to that guy's big bat. And the first game, you talk about just air sucked out of your lungs. I'll never forget it. In the year 2000, now get this, we were talking about the coven of 4,000 witches, right? In the year 2002, shamanistic women gave little figurines to the players to protect them. Okay. So in that year, May of 2000, in the second inning of the game against the Texas Rangers, pitcher Kent Merker suffered a cerebral hemorrhage on the mound at Edison Field in Anaheim. He returned in August, but that season and the following one were largely lost. In 2002 and late in the 2002 season, the press enterprise of Riverside, California reported that a local tribe had blessed the ballpark themselves before the season began. So we have them to thank for the World Series, which is kind of strange if you think about it. Now I'm scratching myself again. I swear I'm not picking my nose. There's a lot of mystical things happening here, which I don't particularly pay much attention to. But it's strange that after these things are happening, that weird big things go on right after. We have the winning streak after the Coven showed up. We have a World Series won by this local tribe that blessed the stadium. Very strange. Now, that was in 2002, and we had some good seasons after that. But in 2009, Preston Gomez, assistant to the general manager, special assignment scout, and spring training instructor, died at the age of 86 on January 13th, 2009, from injuries suffered when he was hit by a truck at the Blythe, California gas station 9 months earlier. In 2009, the same year, hours after pitching 6 scoreless innings against the Oakland A's in his first start of the season on April 8th, 2009, young pitcher Nick Adenhart was a passenger in a car hit by the alleged drunk driver. He and two companions were killed, prompting the creation of the memorial shrine in front of the stadium, which remained for that entire season. So we all remember that. That was not too far away. It is actually 2009 is a while back, but it doesn't seem like that long ago. Now we're coming up to closer times. 2010, the announcer Rory Marcus passed away suddenly in January at the age of 54. That's way too young. He had been a radio announcer with the Angels for 8 years and was going on to move to television booth for the upcoming season, but didn't make it, unfortunately. Also in 2010, first baseman and cleanup hitters Kendry Morales hit a walk-off grand slam on May 29th, 2010, but broke his leg jumping into the crowd of players at home plate, causing him to miss the rest of the season and all of 2011. He was hitting 290 with 11 homers in 51 games. And then, of course, 2019, the death of pitcher Tyler Skaggs um, was just part of the. I'm not going to say the last. We had a lot of other little things that went on as well that I didn't jot down here. But as far as my list goes, the last on my list. But we remember Tyler Skaggs only a few years ago when that happened, and still feel that. Adenhart as well, still feel it. It seems like not that long ago at all. We also had a lot of other stuff. Don Baylor, when his leg broke after the ceremonial pitch from oh my God, I'm so bad with my names right now, my memory. Vladimir Guerrero. Just a lot of strange different things. Uh, uh, the whole issue with Angel Stadium and Anaheim, the city of Anaheim, the mayor resigning, all that crazy weird stuff, and the FBI looking into that issue. Just a big dark cloud that has circled this franchise since the beginning. I think I'm ready to move on to another team. What do you think? When I really looked at all of this, and like I said, it's not perfect. It's not in serious detail. It's not. I mean, you could go look these up, get into more detail. There's a lot more story that goes behind all of these that I've listed, and if you go through them, and it's just crazy that in these years that this team's been around since '61, all the just you talk about. I'm just gonna call. I'm not a believer in bad luck or luck either, but it just looks like bad luck. It's just unfortunate incidences that have caused this team to always be either 500 or losing. I mean, we had one successful season. If you count World Series only as a successful season, um, it's crazy. Now I've always had that feeling. Like, wow, this team, where are we going? Like, what am I doing? Like every year it's the same thing. Or oh my goodness, we'll have a span of a few good years and then just bad after. We never luck out with the right contract. That's another thing I didn't mention in this list are contracts. Contracts that just didn't pan out. Great players that's come to our team that just didn't pan out. There's a lot that has gone on with this team. And I just thought it made for a very interesting conversation. But in closing, I just want to say that it was a little exhausting going through all this, but extremely interesting, especially if you're a person that's into that sort of thing. Kind of like there's those mystery stories. What really happened? What really happened behind behind the curtain there at Angel Stadium? What's really going on? It's not just the Indian burial ground at Anaheim that everyone thinks is there, which is really not. And it has nothing to do with any of that. It has happened and has started since the beginning of this franchise. Now, if you want to go back to the Los Angeles Angels of the PCL League, that was a complete different entity, but and also a minor league that we're talking about. But they were pretty successful. They had some championships. They had some really good seasons and some really good teams. Total different era, different league, not the major leagues, but definitely not a part of this. Just from 1960, the purchase of this team from Gene Autry on to today, it just continues to move on and on and on. Now I'm starting to wonder if Artie hanging on to this team and not selling is part of the curse as well. Him announcing that we have unfinished business. Add that to the list of of curse incidences. But anyway, I thought this was a very interesting topic. I thought I'd share it with you guys. I would really, really appreciate it if you guys go in the comments below and ask questions. If it's something I can't answer, I'm going to look it up and get you an answer. If it's something I can't answer, I will. Share maybe something I missed. Hey, what about so and so in this year? Just your thoughts, what you think, how you feel about this. I would love to hear from all of our fans about this. I think it's a very interesting topic and good water cooler talk, let me tell you. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. I'm Halo Joe. This is Cup of Joe on Halos in the Infield, your podcast network of Angels baseball talk. All Angels baseball, all the time. Just like KFWB. Remember that radio station? KFWB News 98. Well, you give us 30 minutes, we'll give you the world. I love that old radio. Anyway, thank you guys. I appreciate your time. Have a good day and go Angels. Let's take on those a-holes. Bye-bye.